Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of The Elite, the Elite Count Super. I'm War Machine MJ, and I'm here today to talk about AEW Dynamite before and after Double or Nothing. I almost forgot the pay-per-view name, because we're getting like a trio of pay-per-views with like a week in between, because it's Double or Nothing last week, then like a clean break this week. Next week is In Your House, or next Sunday is In Your House, and then the week after that is Backlash. So yeah, you wouldn't think wrestling is on pause given how much they're blitzing pay-per-views at us right now. Anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the May 20th edition of All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, which is the go home to Double or Nothing. So we kicked off the show with the Inner Circle arriving via stretch limo, and Alex Marvez tried to get a word from the Inner Circle when Jericho basically told him to shut his ass, and they basically said what they did to Vanguard 1 is nothing compared to what they're going to do to the Elite. And then Alex Marvez more or less got robbed by Santana, who took his tie clip. Next we had Mr. Brody Lee and the Dark Order coming out. Before he cut his promo, he told Ten, his latest inductee into the Dark Order, he told Ten to take a knee. And then basically he cut a promo where he's getting ready to shatter what people think of Mr. Brody Lee. And he operates on a much higher level than anyone expects him to. Afterwards, he sent Ten to the ring to take on Mox. Of course, this was a back and forth match. Of course, Ten had the power advantage, but Mox was unpredictable as hell. So Mox got the victory. After the match, Mox went out to the ringside, grabbed 2 chairs, and threw them in the ring. Took one chair and basically put Ten's arm through it. And then he threatened to break Ten's arm unless Brody Lee comes to face him. Brody Lee is popped up on the Titantron with his Dark Order subordinates, and he basically said, I'm skipping town. I'll see you Saturday, Mox." Then Mox said, "Okay, Saturday it is." And then he took the second chair, and he beat the hell out of Ten's arm with it. Next we had MJF taking on Marco Stunt. Of course, this goes back to the week prior when MJF and Wardlow got involved in the Jungle Express versus Best Friends match. So yeah, this whole match was pretty much MJF embarrassing Marco Stunt. Of course, Marco Stunt got a little bit of a momentum shift. He had his speed going and whatnot. But while the referee's back was turned, Wardlow started choking Marco Stunt with the bottom rope. But however, Marco eventually tapped out to the salt of the earth. After the match, Wardlow and MJF were ganging up on Marco Stunt when Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy made the save. Next we had well, I would say that it was a segment hosted by Tony Schiavone, but he kind of took the back seat on this one, as there was a sit-down meeting between Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts, two masters of the craft. Um, yeah, the meat and potatoes of this one basically is Arn Anderson told Jake that Mike Tyson's going to have free reign in Double or Nothing. He can do whatever he wants. And then because Jake said he's going to throw his python at Mike Tyson. No innuendo there. And then, of course, Arn Anderson clowned Jake the Snake because he takes DDPY. And he says, well, I hope you do whatever it takes to limber that spine up when I drop you with the spine buster. And hell, Arn wanted a piece of Jake the Snake. You know, there was going to be just two old bastards throwing it down before referee swarmed the ring and just kind of kept him at bay. Next, we had one of those artsy Darby Allin videos leading up to the casino ladder match. Then we had a promo from the Bastard Pac, who basically says, well, he references having to sit at home, you know, because of his WWE contract being, you know, frozen over, and now he's back to basically sitting around the house because England is still under lockdown. Or by the time this is recorded, they're starting to, you know, fire back up. But yeah, he says he'll never be forced to sit at home doing nothing again, and that's why he sent Phoenix to take out Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry, but Death Triangle, really, really cool faction, put three just bang up athletes together, and this whole pandemic kills it because we haven't seen Pentagon on TV in months. Or, I'm sorry, Pentagon. Don't want to get confused. Anyway, we haven't seen Zero Miro on TV in months. Phoenix is just here or there appearances. Mostly here and there. And then Pac's just kind of just tracked in the UK. So this whole pandemic has stopped Death Triangle cold. So it's kind of hard to just like take them seriously right now because it's on ice. It's cooled. Anyway, next we had Ray Phoenix taking on Orange Cassidy. This was really good. This was just a bang up match. Orange Cassidy was just a ball of energy. Down the stretch, Kip Sabian brought out a ladder and he was just taking in an unnecessary front row seat to the competition between Phoenix and OC. And Phoenix got the victory with by pinfall. Doesn't say how. After the match, Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian dumped the ladder that Kip Sabian was on top of, and everybody in the casino battle royal just had a big messy brawl. The unfortunateness of this is Phoenix tried to go for a tope, you know, onto the crowd of guys, but he didn't get distance with it. He just went straight down and just busted his ass, literally. So they pulled him from Double or Nothing, and he was replaced by Joe Janela. Next, we had tag team action as Nyla Rose and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, took on Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida, my All Elite wifey. Of course, the respective opponents would face off at Double or Nothing. Uh, Towards the finish of the match, when everything was coming up, Statlander and Shida, you know, when Statlander and Shida were on a roll, Britt Baker was, down in the corner, and they were going to use Nyla Rose as a weapon on Britt Baker. Problem is, they accidentally injured Britt Baker, like injured her leg. So she got pulled from Double or Nothing, her match against Chris Statlander, and she was replaced by Penelope Ford. But back to this match. Nyla Rose got the victory, pinning Hikaru Shida after the Beast Bomb, after which Nyla got out her signature table to put Machida through when Chris Statlander gave Hikaru a helping hand, and Shida superplex Nyla Rose through the table instead. Next, there was a Jon Moxley interview where basically he's boiling because he said that it's going to get much worse from here, and he's going to put Brody Lee to sleep at Double or Nothing. Next, we had a Shawn Spears segment where he appeared as an anchor of the SSN, yes, the Social Security Network and Services, but no, the Shawn Spears news reporting that, well, basically this was just kind of like I'm not gonna say lazy, but just uninspired way to set up a Dustin Rhodes Shawn Spears match. Felt kind of lazy. Anyway, yeah, after this had played, cut back to commentary where Shivani and Excalibur were just asking, can we do that? Can we do that? JR's just like, just book the damn match. Do it. Damn, there we go. It's booked. It was a little funny. And finally, in the main event, we had Matt Hardy. Yes! Wonderful! Taking on Sammy Guevara. Of course, Matt Hardy getting some revenge after Sammy and the Inner Circle, well, broke Vanguard 1. Truly a wonderful match between them. However, Matt Hardy got the victory over Sammy Guevara with a twist of fate. Afterwards, it cut to the Inner Circle in the Jaguar Stadium beating up on Kenny Omega, who was tied to one of the goalposts in the stadium. When the Young Bucks out of California finally made their return to Jacksonville and helped even the odds-ish. And just when all hope seemed lost for the Elite, Hangman Page came out from self-isolation to help even the odds. So yes, the Elite is whole once again. And finally, we move on to the May 27th edition of AEW Dynamite. Of course, the fallout from Double or Nothing. The show opened up with the Inner Circle just kind of just sitting around in the parking lot, talking about how they had some Inner Circle victory shirts printed up. Like Super Bowl winner shirts go. They had some printed up, and they were contemplating, well, what are we doing with them now? Gotta get them we got to get some reimbursement off this. And yeah, I think one of them pitched the idea of, okay, let's just sell them. And Jericho's like, yeah, we'll sell these boxes and we'll be done. And Ortiz is like, well, about that. And he opens up like a U-Haul, and there's just like a ton of boxes in the back. It's kind of funny because you see a couple of guys just counting them, and you just see Jericho just. It was pretty good. Next, we had a backstage promo between the Young Bucks, Broken, Matt Hardy, yes, wonderful, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega. Of course, the Bucks were excited to tag with Matt Hardy when they were interrupted by Hangman, who was just like, well, you know what? If you guys got this under lock, I got some whiskey on the rocks back at the hotel room. I'll catch you guys later. Kenny's like, well, on that page, I got some milk on the rocks. I'll see you guys later. So, Young Bucks are like, yeah, or Nick Jackson was like, yeah, we're teaming up with Matt Hardy, and Matt Jackson's just like, well, kind of wants you to hop in that time machine and go a little ways back. And, of course, Matt Hardy, he's like, okay, yeah, hang on just a second. Goes out of frame, comes back out of frame as Matt Hardy V1. And Nick's like, yeah, V1, yeah. And Matt Jackson's like, no. Go back a little more. So Matt Hardy came out as one of his earlier personas. I forget which one. I think it was his WWE debut gear. Anyway, so yeah, that leads to six-man tag team action as the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy took on Private Party and Joey Janela. Of course, down the stretch, not sure exactly what happened or if it's work or shoot, but Marquin of the Private Party, he got injured, and he was helped to the back after the match. Of course, Young Bucks, Matt Hardy got the victory. But during the match, Matt and Nick Jackson, I think it was Nick, accidentally bumped into the Butcher and the Blade, who were ringside, just civilian gear. So Matt and Nick just start beating up on Butcher and the Blade. And after the match, Butcher and Blade were seeking a little retribution as they beat up on the Hardys until just an old Ford truck just comes charging into Daly's place. And out of the truck cab comes FTR. That's right. The guys formerly known as the Revival, say yeah, made their All Elite Wrestling debut. Of course, they popped in the ring. Butcher and the Blade just kind of stepped back there, just like, all yours, boys. And of course, Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler, which Cash Wheeler is a cool name. Anyway, Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood pop in the ring, and they act like they're about to beat down on the Young Bucks. Then they turn around, beat down on the Butcher and Blade. Hang on a sec. Anyway, yeah, so top guys in the house. So, of course, from what we understand, they are just delaying their in-ring debut for a little while longer, which, as long as they know what they're doing, I'm okay with it. If WWE did this, I'd be like, you'd start cooling off your product before you even got it served. Next, we had Jon Moxley come out for commentary as he said he was there to watch the winner of the casino ladder match, Brian Cage, the Machine, Mr. Get My Shit In, the Swolverine, made his AEW debut at Double or Nothing as the mystery opponent in the ladder match. Of course, he's accompanied by Taz. You know, he's got this nice little Tron that starts out, "Who can stop the path of Cage?" Of course, Brian Cage had his AEW Dynamite debut against Lee Johnson. I would say debut against, but he actually just murdered this cat in the middle of the ring. Then Taz cut just an absolute intense promo where he more or less threatened Mox by saying Cage will tear out his heart at Fyter Fest. Yeah. Next, we had a, well, wasn't much of an interview segment as Tony Schiavone played mic stand for his BFF, Britt Baker, who of course was injured, and she was wheelchair bound. So yeah, she hosted another role model lesson, and then she kind of went off the deep end, claiming that her injury was a conspiracy, and that Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, Nyla Rose were all conspirators, and referee Aubrey Edwards is the is the ringleader. I'm sorry, I'm so tickled at how insane this is, but it's so good. Because God, I forgot what she said about Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose, but she said Chris Statler being an alien is a crock of shit. She said a crock of shit, so it's great. But yeah, she said she'll be back in time for All Out. So yeah. Next, Chris Jericho told Alex Marvez to shut his ass again, and he's talking about how the Inner Circle pep rally was going to hype them back up, get them on their winning ways. And before he could finish his thought, Orange Cassidy just kind of stumbles onto the scene. And then, everything just stops, and Jericho's just kind of, okay, I'll see you later, Orange Cassidy. I'll see you later, Cassidy. See you later. Anyway, next we had the new AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida, my all-elite wifey, taking on Christy James. Of course, Hikaru Shida got the victory over James with the Falcon Arrow. During the commercial break, we kind of had a fly on the wall camera perspective on Hangman Page and Kenny Omega chilling in their hotel room. Yeah, apparently Hangman was the only one, interested in it, and Kenny's just like, just leave it alone. Next, we had a promo from the inaugural TNT champion, Cody Rhodes, or Cody, sorry. They have Rhodes here on the notes. Cody cut a promo basically saying how he's going to have a weekly title defense, in the same vein as the John Cena United States Open Challenge, which that was great. Don't get me wrong, that is fantastic, and this could be fantastic, especially with Cody hinting that that stars from other promotions could show up. Well, other independent wrestlers could show up on Dynamite and challenge for the title. So that's fantastic. I would be completely on board if they turn this championship into a television championship. Much in the same way as WCW had a television championship, NWA has a television championship where it was defended every week on TV. Be down for that. Next we had super bad Kip Sabian with the bad girl Penelope Ford teaming with Jimmy Havoc, his best friend, to take on SCU, Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. Pretty back and forth match. However, Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc got the victory by because Penelope Ford distracted SCU by well, she didn't distract. She helped throw off the SCU later by grabbing Kazarian's leg, and Jimmy Havoc pinned Scorpio Sky. Apparently, this match was a number one contenders match against the tag team champions Hangman and Kenny Omega. Despite the best friends winning a number one contender match to kick off Double or Nothing. It's really weird. Anyway, next week on AEW Dynamite, of course, Sabian and Havoc will challenge Page and Omega for the tag team championships. Next, there was an MJF promo where he's basically griping that he has to compete in the Battle Royal to determine Cody's first title defense. Where he said he's gone undefeated and he has beaten Cody and he shouldn't have to challenge for a championship, but with Wardlow's help, he's going to do it anyway because they're both in the Battle Royal. Of course, MJF says, well, when it comes down to me and Wardlow as the last two, well, Wardlow knows what to do. And Wardlow's like, Wardlow interjects, he says, but MJF just 0 to 100 just snaps over to Wardlow and yells, but nothing! And, you know, there's like a brief moment of hostility between them before MJF be like, I'm just playing. We're cool. Come on, let's go. Wardlow not too happy about that. Next, we had the aforementioned Battle Royal. As, we had a whole cavalcade of mid-carders and new talents alike. Of course, during the match when OC was coming, when Orange Cassidy was coming out, he was beat down by the Inner Circle, and he would eventually make his way to ringside to be a part of the Final Four, where it was MJF, Wardlow, Jungle Boy, and Orange Cassidy. Of course, Wardlow had Orange Cassidy dead. Well, had Jungle Boy. Wardlow and MJF had Jungle Boy all tied up. Of course, MJF put on the Diamond Dozen ring. Was getting ready to strike Jungle Boy when he accidentally clocked Wardlow. MJF then got eliminated by Jungle Boy, and then Jungle Boy and Orange Cassidy teamed up to eliminate Wardlow. And finally, it came down to Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy. Of course, Jungle Boy eliminating Orange Cassidy by skinning the cat, and he will face Cody next week for the TNT Championship. And finally, that leads us to our main event, where we had the Inner Circle pep rally. And of course, the Inner Circle members were being introduced by Vicky Guerrero. Fantastic. They weren't in the best mood since they have lost. You know, it was a heavy atmosphere. Sammy Guevara is injured because he got dropped from 20 feet up by a one-winged angel. So, they exchanged some gifts, had some jokey jokes. Jake Hager recited a poem. Then he threatened to murder the Elite or other people. Not sure. It's very vague. But Sammy Guevara basically says, well, I got everybody. Well, no, he says, well, Chris, what do you want? And Jericho's like, what do I want? I want Mike Tyson's head on a platter. And then he references to an episode of Monday Night Raw where Mike Tyson knocked out Chris Jericho after, I think, after the two of them had a tag team match against DX. I forget. Either way, he wanted Tyson's head on a platter. And Sammy's like, well, I don't have Tyson's head on a platter, but I got a cheese platter with a little bit of bubbly. And of course, the cheese platter's almost all eaten, and the bubbly is empty. And out comes Mike Tyson and his entourage of, well, MMA fighters and boxers. Well known guys, I might add. But yeah, Jericho wanted an apology from Tyson. Tyson wasn't having none of it, and Mike Tyson tried to rip off his shirt, and I kind of felt bad for him because he's in phenomenal shape. He's in his 50s, and he's he's in great shape, but his shirt wasn't perforated like Hulk Hogan's shirts were, so he just had a devil of a time trying to rip it off. Anyway, there was a big messy brawl between Jericho and Mike Tyson that was pulled apart by referees, their respective posses, even members of the locker room were holding them back. It's a nice little fun scrap. Apparently, there's plans to do Mike Tyson versus Chris Jericho somewhere down the line. I'd be okay with that. In fact, do it up. Let's do it. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the 3 Count Super. Remember, if you miss Rodimus, he's not here. He can't give his opinions. Probably telling how dumb he thought everything was because he hates everything. He hates everything wrestling. He can't find enjoyment in some of the stupid stuff. Anyway, if you miss him and his opinions, why would you? He has a podcast, Prime Talk with Rodimus Prime. Go check it out. Just between you and me, you don't have to tell him this. He actually has some good opinions and some good perspective. So go check him out. Anyway, that being said, I'm War Machine MJ, and I will see you guys next time. Ba-bang.